Let's talk, Alex and
Yeah.
Felix, and this is week one of the wild cards coming up. But
Yeah.
before we get into our picks for the wild card playoffs, we're going to talk about some of the coaches changes that took place around the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we got a big change in the big better. Ow. Uh, ow. For Uncle and murder. The we got we already got a Uncle in the picture. Middle. Middle. Got right back the coach. He be promoted to how do you feel about that? DJ.
well, we talked about this a little bit last week. That this could be Belichick's last game with the Patriots as the season came to a close. But then the big question we talked about was, would he move forward with coaching someplace else? And obviously that door is still open after putting in all the time he has with the Patriots and helping building a dynasty there. Um, I imagine that if he is going to go someplace else, then he's probably not going to want to invest in building another dynasty.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably want a team that's probably on the verge or maybe close to getting to a Super Bowl and then making the changes there. But it has to be a right fit for him to take up the job. As far as the new guy getting the promotion and becoming the head coach, wish him well. We'll see what he brings to the table for the New England Patriots organization next year, and we'll see. He has big shoes to fill in New England. So
We know I know a big have he got fired. He thought I got a job. It the all good it that PKO. How do you feel about PKO? Be promoted. How be promoted to a
um, didn't really see this coming with Pete Carroll. Maybe it is time, but I guess we'll see how he can contribute to the Seattle organization from his new position. As far as head coaching, I don't know who is going to fill that spot.
Yeah.
We have to wait and see. Um, we just gotta wait and see what happens with the season coming to an end.
But for me, nobody knows the company. Uh, big, big change for for go older haircut. This to older haircut. Now, but about a new in. So, hopefully, we really got the picture in. Or it puts about it, we got to put the about that haircut. Yeah, put it in.
Right.
What though? Now, we know the company that what it comes to. I hope the company have to do.
Well, I kind of sense when new ownership came there and they kept the current coaching staff, and then to try to feel out to see how they were going to, I guess, coach and see if the Commanders would be better off. It was just delayed in the process, but I believe it was coming anyway, and so no real surprise to me that they have parted ways with the coaching staff there. The question comes who they're going to bring
Yeah.
in, and
People won't be better because they got up there. People want Jim Harbaugh to go be promoted into grade again. But it didn't
Jim Harbaugh has a lot on his plate,
Yeah.
simply because Michigan
Yeah.
put a big offer on the table for
Yeah.
him there as well. Obviously, he has
Yeah.
opportunities within the NFL if he chooses to. So
Again, we gotta wait a bit. The answer talking offer me about time to see you goodbye.
okay, so I take it you feel a certain way about his coaching.
Yeah, he's not a good head coach.
Okay, so we got to see what the Falcons is going to bring in. Maybe they should be looking at the University of Georgia and
Yeah. Hey, right
maybe
there.
trying to get somebody from that coaching staff and that organization who has put together a great football program for the university. So maybe they can bring something to the Atlanta Falcons.
Um, yeah, for me, I, he's not, like, he's bad. For, for 4 years, it will, he's not going to put on. He's not good enough to he'll have a quarterback. He's just there. So, for me, I had to focus back there to let it go. But, I also, it's bad. Becoming a head coach is hard in the league. We change to the offense. And that's what we're college. And that's what we're that day coming, first coming, fourth, fifth, whatever it come out. But, yeah, I think it's time to let it go. And I'm happy, and that's to let it go. My week was happening. Oh boy, people weren't gone. I don't want it gone, but it's too late.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of seen that coming too. A lot of fans were complaining about him and what he was bringing to the table for the organization. So I guess it was time.
Yeah, it's time again. And I call a couple more ago, it just following Dortmund over the LA, but that means the high school for compare for, but,
Yeah, those two
Right.
organizations, they fired their coaches during
Yeah.
the season, and we talked about that
Yeah.
earlier in the season. But now we gotta wait and see who these teams are gonna bring in.
yeah,
Hopefully, again, they make a smart selection and they bring somebody in that's gonna bring in a good
yeah.
program for their organization so that they can compete every season within their own division and then hopefully to the playoffs.
Let's talk about core defense of the core, the,
Yes, the Giants organization, it just shouldn't have stopped there.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the only problem with the defense and offensive coordinators. I believe that honestly, the personnel that is on that team right now do not fit championship football. They got to do a better job drafting. Whoever their scouters are need to be looking at some of this talent. It's just crazy that when we look at some of these kids that get drafted and they go to these teams, that these could be contributing factors for Giants fans to see their team again competing repeatedly, not just one season up, next season down. Like consistency. Consistency is important for any business. I know this is a sport, but at the same time, if I'm the owner of the New York Giants, I want to see consistency. Because consistency will bring in consistent from the fans. They will always show up year in and year out. Not saying that Giant fans don't already, but they're definitely not getting their money's worth from the organization that they're contributing to. They deserve better. The Giants need to be a competing team in their division year in and year out, fighting for that top spot to win the division. It's been a while since the Giants won the division. It's been a while since they've been in the playoffs. And even though, yes, they went to the playoffs the year before with the new coach, they really was a surprise team to even be there. With the personnel they had, they really didn't belong in. So they need to be in a good program as well. And, I'm pretty sure fans thought that when he came from Buffalo to be the head coach there, that he was going to bring some stability there and a good football program that the Giants would adapt to and bring to the table year in and year out, just like in Buffalo. Buffalo has made the playoffs consistently. This year was a struggle for them, but they found a way to win to get in the playoffs. They have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, and that's all the fans really ask from any of these organizations. Obviously, we would all love our teams to be able to win a Super Bowl, to get there and win, but just to be able to get to the playoffs, to see that extended season and not have your season end at the end of the season, you know. So hopefully the Giants will not just start with the two coaches. They will make some changes in the front office, maybe get some better scouters who are picking up real talent that's gonna make impact for the organization, and make sure that this is for the long haul, not just a one season or possibly two. Again, Buffalo Bills consistency. They're even consistent with their ride up and down throughout their regular season. They're consistent though. The Giants, no consistency. So and that's been a while. That's been not recent. That's been for some time.
So all about it's every head coach that all about yeah it's have you do you think that with head coach gone or if it one more or two more would be good?
Well, if anything that taught me, you know, is the Cowboys
Yeah.
with Jimmy Johnson. Look, the guy won a Super Bowl and then he was out.
Yeah.
So just because they're winning in the playoffs does not mean that the coaches are safe. So we just have to realistically just see how the season, when it comes to a close, if there'll be any more further changes with coaching or not.
Who Jimmy Johnson people are he was a top head coach. Super Bowl.
Not just a Super Bowl, but consistent Super Bowls. And him and the ownership, Jerry Jones, did not see eye to eye. And there was parting ways immediately.
Couple out after.
So now, let's talk about the possibility of where Belichick could go.
Yeah.
I know fans kind of want to see him go to the Eagles, and your head coach is kind of getting the hot seat. He's getting evil eyes from the fans. So far, not from ownership, but the Eagles' history have shown, with their coaches, that they don't seem to retain these guys when these guys have not such a good season. To me, he's installed a pretty good program there. You guys started this season, 2023, where you guys left off last year. Unfortunately, the tail end of the season has changed. You guys have some injuries. Yes, you guys are missing your offense and defensive coordinators from a year ago. They're head coaches of other organizations. But at the end of the day, your coach has to find a way to coach and win, even with the players having injuries and being banged up. But to me, your record as a team right now, this current season, shows that you guys were consistent. You guys were on the path of, again, being the best team overall in the NFL, getting home field advantage. Yes, you ran into some buzzsaws, and you still made it into the playoffs. So now we got to see how you guys finish. The telling story would be you guys surprise everybody and go to the Super Bowl once again. And if you guys do that, then that'll shut all those critics up.
The head coach will be not all the hot seat.
Exactly.
Well, can be better that yeah, repeat careful. That is what happened. Because be better to order former of the head coach that the year thing think that happening. So can be better that can be better commit that
He could. He can go to,
the Falcons.
The Falcons, the Raiders.
Get care of the but no. I don't think be better.
He could go there. Whether or not will he go to these teams is a different story. Or will he just take, some time to himself and rest up and, retire altogether from coaching? We have to wait and see what happens with that.
He was out there. Who's gonna be?
So you're gonna have a bold prediction, a bold moment here.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys hear it first from Alex.
I think I get the.
He's calling it.
I think I get the coming back. Just like that person.
Okay.
Did I get the cut back to the captain?
Okay.
Maybe I can go hopefully to that out with Picasso. That's what I want for Bill. A lot of people talk about the diva calling me for equal, I was calling me for equal again. No, diva calling me for equal, not former Detroit head coach, no. The other diva calling me looking for a head coach job. Looking for the defense head coach. For what looking for a promotion to head coach.
So also, you don't think they're gonna actually reach out to bring somebody a
No.
new face in, do everything?
No.
I think they need to do that. You know, I was having this conversation with my brother and basically, and a couple other people I know are football fans. You know, the NFC East was basically the NFL before the NFL turned into what it is today, before the salary cap and all these things. So, you know, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and the Washington organization were always great competitors, and they still to this day hold the most Super Bowl trophies combined as a division in the NFL. The fact that the NFL has changed and this division, which was large markets, by the way,
Yeah.
all these four teams were large markets. So that's a lot of revenue, a lot of gross, you know, that the NFL was making as well as the organization. So I would like to see that division get back to being a true division of football. And you got to bring in the right coaches. Washington has been so out of touch for so long. And I think that's why it was great that there was new ownership that came in to the organization. And maybe, you know, not to take nothing away from Jerry, but maybe, you know, these owners need to move and let somebody else come in that can actually bring a new atmosphere to these organizations, because they just either these guys are out of touch with today's football, or they're just really cutting corners and not bringing in the right people to make these teams championship teams and teams that are entertaining, serving the fans, because the fans are the ones who want to see these teams win. They're loyal enough that they come season after season, they buy these season tickets. And I'm going to tell you, two of the most expensive organizations that are in that division is the New York Giants and the Cowboys. And season tickets ain't cheap. They ain't cheap by far. So these people, they deserve to see their teams compete.
Hey, again, another head coach, and that probably maybe money cut up in this football. We got the
I think they should be looking at some of these guys at colleges and just again look at the programs that they built with these universities. Don't look at a guy that's hot right now and you know it's not consistent, because you're going to get the same thing when he comes to run your organization. Look at somebody who has built a good football program and there's consistency. Because when these kids get to the draft, they're hot enough that you guys are drafting year in, year out these kids from these hot schools. And they turn out to be outstanding players in the NFL. Well, you need a program like that in your organization, but at the NFL level, not university level. And they need to be able to play week in and week out.
he's got another head coach. You breathe. You breathe. He is a head coach. People forget about you breathe. You breathe is a head coach. No, that is Tom. That's the coach for Brazil. I could you breathe looking for a head coach there in the
NFL. I'm gonna say no. I think it's too soon for that. I mean, he just started
Yeah.
this on the college level, which
Yeah.
is great for him. I think a lot of these guys should be given back
Yeah.
after contributing,
Yeah.
especially if they were great players.
Yeah.
You know, a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
in some shape or form.
Yeah.
And I know Peyton and Eli have their own little show,
Yeah.
and they're enjoying what they
Yeah.
do. But you know what? I always thought Peyton would do coaching. I believe he would make a great coach. Um, but maybe his body and mind is just not up to getting up those early hours again,
Yeah.
and film work and all this stuff. And so we have to wait and
I
see.
probably okay, big stuff for career.
So, well, let's see. Maybe he'll come down and take up the coach's rank. So let's move on
Yeah.
from the coaches talk. We're gonna go into our playoff picks, and so as you know, Saturday was the kickoff for the wild card.
Yeah, Saturday
You
was
had
the kickoff.
2 games that took place yesterday. So I had picked Houston as my pick, and did you pick Houston as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so he took Houston, and then of course, overwhelmingly, we both unanimously believed that the Chiefs were going
Yeah.
to beat Miami. Both games ended up being a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we know that Miami, that cold weather, it was cold.
Yeah.
Um,
Freaking beautiful. I mean, hot.
I mean, look, not just that, but you know what?
Yeah.
Even though the Chiefs looked good against
Yeah.
Miami, they really didn't look all that good yesterday. They had to settle for a couple of field goals
Yeah.
themselves. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was definitely cold.
Freaking beautiful. That cold.
The Buffalo and Steelers game has been moved. If you folks haven't seen the update from the NFL,
Yeah.
they will be playing tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon.
Avenue.
Right.
Because they got
Yes. So we'll start with them first.
Yeah.
Who do you have, Bills or Steelers?
you need to build a call.
I'm gonna go with the Bills as well. Not to take nothing away from the Steelers though, but Steelers are banged up.
Yeah.
It would be a different story, I think, if they were 100% healthy going into this, but they're not. I also see a different look after watching the Bills play against Miami the last week of the season. These guys look like they're down for this football, and you know what? The consistency of getting to the playoffs year in and year out, they're ready for this. So they could go on a run. We have to wait and see, but we'll find out tomorrow. That's for sure. But
Today, we got the Cowboys and today. How about you?
so for me, I hate to say it, but I believe the Cowboys will dominate the Packers and move on to the next round. I just do not. I don't see the Packers being a team that is really ready to rise to that level and play at that level here in the playoffs against, the Cowboys. I believe that the Cowboys will win.
Well, for me,
Remember, Eagles fan. So this is going to be a real hard one for him.
it's gonna be. I love Green Bay. I want Green Bay. I got the part in Cutler win, but I want Green Bay to win. So Green Bay Packers to win today.
Okay.
Over the Cutler. Something to play in Cutler beat up on the Green Bay Packers. I'm not gonna be surprised, but a lot of people are gonna be up there for Green Bay fans. If
Well,
the
look, I
Cowboys
think
pull it
Green
out.
Bay fans are content with the fact that the team made it into playoffs. Remember, this is a team that was not doing all that well in their own division. They really have not been the same team since Aaron left from there. So truthfully, the fact that they even got this far I mean, kudos to them and their coach. But I just don't, maybe after he really implements everything the way he wants it, we can really genuinely see what the team is made of. So I think the 2024's NFL season will be telling to see how the Packers can deal. But even if these guys pull this game off, if they had to play Detroit again, Detroit has
Yeah.
owned them the last few times. So some just tells me that the Cowboys will move on to the next round.
Okay. Okay. So as a thing, I goody, but okay. Everybody talking about that game. It can golf ball, that football. Yeah, golf ball, that football. Game.
Lions and
Rams.
the Rams playing
Detroit.
Stafford back home to play against his old team. Goff is playing against his old team. So yes, that's the storyline for those two organizations. But you know what? I think Detroit should be able to win this game against the Rams. And not to take nothing away from the Rams, because the Rams have showed true heart, and they again another team that struggled during the regular season, surprised everybody, fought towards the end, and made it into the playoffs. This might be the 49ers' kryptonite because they should have finished them at the end of the season, but they didn't, and that would have probably kept the Rams out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But guess what? They're in the playoffs right now. I personally feel like, again, the last time the Rams got into the playoffs, which wasn't that far long ago, they went to Super Bowl and they won. So we got to watch this team because we thought the Rams was going to go through a rebuilding process, which is why the coach was up in the air about coaching there. And instead, this team became a dog team and they fought and made it into the wild card.
Even guys, so part of that will be.
So I'm gonna stick with Detroit. Detroit has been this Cinderella team. They're young. I think mentally they have a capability. Both these quarterbacks have played in Super Bowls. One of them won, one didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the experience they both are bringing to the table for their organizations. So we're gonna wait and see how this game pans out tonight. So who do you have?
From Detroit, yeah, it'd be 3 decades for a game in Detroit. So I don't think it's gonna be Detroit to win the game and move on to the round game.
Alrighty. And you still got
Get Eagles, I go for you, moving football.
yes.
So
You guys are playing the Bucks. There's history there. So it looked like the NFL almost orchestrated how these matchups were in Week 1. Obviously, there's like long history between the Bucks and Eagles. You guys are banged up. I believe you guys are the better team. If your coach is able to get his team to be focused, you guys are missing AJ Brown in this game. Your quarterback is playing with injury. Maybe the Bucks smell blood in the water, and they could try to show up and make a run for it. I just think you guys are the better team, so I'm going with the Eagles with this victory over the Bucks tomorrow.
For me, both teams are not good as well. The Eagles got 8 wins. The Bucks got 8 wins. They both got 8 with popular quarterback, right? Baker Mayfield, Booker Lip, he played a football. Yeah, played for a Booker figure, middle figure. I did wow. That perfect me. It knew a lot for you. Baker Mayfield. Well, the defense is doing okay. The offense is old. Need help.
Yeah, they need a lot of help. That offense is old.
You go to the game.
I'm glad you decided to pick your team. I think your Eagle fans would have had you roasted. If you picked against your own team.
And move on.
Okay.
So
now you have the 49ers and them are off,
Off.
right? And Baltimore is off. So those were your two leading teams, which everybody picked as Super Bowl picks
Yeah.
for the most part, based off the color code of
Mhm.
the trophies. But to tell you the truth, look,
Eh,
everybody's
yeah,
looking forward to see what's going to happen. But I believe if Detroit uh, pulls this game off against the Rams, oh boy,
Well,
because then you know what happens, right?
mm-hmm. Let's talk about the week before we get into you. If a good bit win, you make I pick a point and you can't let it out. And you got win and good bit
You would have to play Detroit
Detroit.
or
Or
the Rams. Well, no,
No.
the Rams will go to 49ers.
yeah,
And you guys would end up playing
Detroit.
Detroit.
And you can't win and you got win. They gotta put together.
Yep.
Again.
One more time. Three-peat.
They go run win. They gotta pick a Ravens.
You mean the 49ers?
Yeah. And then they got Buccaneers win. They gotta play. No, they got Buccaneers win and go out. They gotta play the floating up. No,
The
they go.
lowest seed plays the top seed
Yeah.
next week.
So whoever that gotta play the floating up.
So
They got floating up. Can't play. Detroit. As the back. They're all 4 at home. We got this. And you got this side, you got the Ravens. And people gotta play the Ravens for the third time. Tennessee, we're ready. They're up into the air. And then you have
Buffalo.
Buffalo. And Buffalo wins today. Not tomorrow. They gotta protect it all out. If that happens, number 4 gotta be number 1.
Yes.
If all out.
Yes.
So we got a couple games left in week 1. We choose are we ready?
Okay. So we're going to move on to our next segment, and we're going to talk about Player of the Week
For week 18, got
for Week 18.
that. For week 4,
Yes.
So, the first week, a quarterback for the Bills, and come out to you.
There you have it, Josh Allen.
You
Player of
are
the Week.
that. Let get the for the week award for season out most
Yes.
So, I am pretty good at that game. And that was good game.
Okay.
Get along.
We would have loved to have given it. There was a lot of the candidates
Yeah.
that actually played well last week, that made statements in their games.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both agreed that Josh Allen deserves this crown to
and with
this
that,
week, for Week 18.
And with that, I set up all that up.
Yes.
So people, we got 3 more weeks left of football.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
4 because of football. So thank you.
For tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, but we chill. I go put it off.